Okay, well, looks like we're live. What is going on, everybody? How's everything looking? How's everything sounding? Once again, I've got the mic back here. So how are we sounding? Are we looking okay? I was just looking at this and there's it's kind of moving around a little bit, but there were I was messing with the mic or whatever, and they were like orange lights, and I don't really know what orange lights means. I had never really seen that one before, so I have no idea. But here we are. We're back. We're back with another small group night. What is up, everybody? Who's in here? If you're in the chat, let me know that you're in here. Tell me what's been going on. Tell me what you've been up to today. I want to hear all about it. Before, I guess it kind of rained for a second, but I got to walk around outside for a while and it felt so nice. So I hope some of you guys were able to get outside. I know it was supposed to be like worse weather today, like really bad weather, but I mean, hey, here we are. It wasn't too bad. It was really pretty. There were a few times where it rained, but overall, it's been warm and it's been pretty sunny, which has been pretty nice and pretty awesome. So I hope you guys were able to get outside as well. But yeah, I'm glad everyone's in here. And let's see, what was I thinking? Oh, the question that I had, and I know that we're probably waiting on a lot of people to get here because I know it normally takes a few minutes for people to trickle in. But hey, what's up, Mathis? Mathis, how's track been? Have you been on your grind? Have you run any meets? All of those things. If you did run a meet or meets, how did they go? I want to hear all about it, bud. Let's see who else we got in here. Anybody else? There is Mathis is the only one chatting, so it's just gonna be me and Mathis hanging out for a little bit before we jump into small groups, possibly. But yeah, I'll wait and I'll see about that. Also, I finally remembered to add, let's see, where is this? They went good. I've run one meet and won my heat for the 400. Dang, Mathis, that's awesome. You won your heat for the 400. What was your time? Not that I know super well. Oh, and you're running relays. My relays went well too. I feel like you've told me before which relays you're running, but I don't remember, so you should remind me. But let's see. Look right here. I finally remembered to bring 109. That is real. That's smoking. That's like super fast, especially for your first one ever. Like, I don't know if I could run a 109 and a 400. Man, 4x2 and 4x4. Nice, dude. 4x2? Look at you. You're getting some sprints going. But yeah, look, I got Lindsay's family up here finally. I brought it home from the church because I had it up in the church last time. But yeah, brought that up. Well, I'm anxious to see if more people jump in because so far it's me and Mathis hanging out, which is totally fine. If that ends up happening, that's totally fine because really all this is just some time for me to get to kind of interact with everybody for a little bit, and then other than that, just a time to remind everybody kind of, hey, this is what we talked about last week. And so if you're going to jump into small groups, or when you jump into small groups, we'll kind of remember that and talk about that. It looks like we got like 7 people in here. If you're in the chat, man, let me know. I want to hear who's in here. I want to hear what people have going, because that ECS volleyball or volleyball b-ball is done. We finished up. We had like a rough time. We had a COVID tracing thing where the whole team had to not come for like 2 weeks, and so then we ended up just playing a bunch of fun games and stuff. Honestly, if the restrictions weren't so high at Mathis, I would have gotten you to come because we had like 9 people, so we could have used you as a 10th, and that would have been really fun. But it was really good. It was really fun. I hate that it kind of ended weirdly where we, our last few games we had to cancel, but we had a lot of fun, a lot of good times. What's up, Ashley? What's up, Jen? What's up, Alex? Well, let's see. Yeah, I know, Mathis. I wish too. That would have been so awesome. It's just another time where I wish that the people who graduated out of middle school had one more year that we could have with them. But as is the way, it is what it is. Well, it looks like, I mean, honestly, it's kind of looking like we're not going to have a ton of people tonight. I knew that might happen. We had like a good crew last week, and this back and forth of online and in person, I know, is kind of throwing people for a loop. And yeah, probably now, especially with it getting warmer, we can probably look at what it would look like to do some outside stuff, how to kind of change and impact some of that stuff to where we're not having to just have all of the difficulties of figuring out what are we doing this week, what are we doing next week, all of that stuff. And I also have heard from some people that there's some folks out of town and stuff like that. So if anybody's in here that is out of town, I hope you're having a great time. But otherwise, we miss you. If you watch this back later, hey, we miss you and we hope you're having a great time. Honestly, I didn't want I was thinking about tonight and I was like, sometimes like it's really fun to like play games and stuff like that, but then sometimes I'm like, man, honestly, I just want everyone to get into small groups. Like I don't want to take, so much time on one of these Sunday night small group nights that people go, all right, I just spent a lot of time listening and watching Kyle and I'm done now, because I want small groups to be the main thing. Ashley, yes, we do miss you. That Ashley gets it. We really do. We miss you. But also Ashley is like fully vaccinated, so that's very exciting, and we're all dancing and cheering for that. So hopefully sometime like decently soon we'll get to see Ashley in person, and everyone's obviously thrilled about that. But with all that being said, kind of tonight, instead of like jumping into like, hey, let's mess around, let's do whatever, I was gonna, kind of interact with everybody in the chat a little bit. Looks like there's maybe a few less people in the chat than normal, and so it kind of works out well that tonight I just kind of wanted to take I'll be back in person next weekend. Yes. Can we get some welcome back Ashley's in the chat? That's all I need to see. That is so exciting. And so hopefully we'll do that. And then maybe even some of our folks who haven't been able to be in person at all, even that aren't vaccinated, might be able to at least kind of check in on some outdoor stuff or something like that. Would be so cool. Wait, next weekend is Easter. JK. So sorry. It is Easter. We're not actually 100%. I think I might try to get like a little like outside hang night on Easter. Just, for anybody who's around in here or whatever, but also not anything to where it's like, I don't want people to feel like they're missing out on anything huge. What's up, Shannon? But yeah. But other than that, man, I'm pumped that you guys are in here, and welcome back. There we go. See, Mathis is here. Mathis is here for us doing her thing. But I just kind of wanted to remind us, peeps, because Easter, yes. Very well done. Very well done. Do you guys eat Peeps, by the way, just while we're talking about Easter candy, or separately, what is your favorite like Easter candy? Like I know that I really like the like Reese's eggs and the things like that, but sometimes I think they're a little too thick. Like I like some of the thinner Reese's stuff. Honestly, now I'm trying to think of if I have like some other things that I really like that are Easter related. I mean, I know I do, and I know like my mom probably could tell you better because she buys me Easter candy and it's always very nice. The Bunny Reese's. All right, there you go. The Bunny Reese's. I really like the Bunny Reese's. I maybe like the Bunny Reese's better than the egg ones for some reason. Peeps / marshmallows are big thumbs down. I like marshmallows fine, but like it is kind of weird to just eat like marshmallow things. Like I love s'mores and stuff like that. Alex, Kelly's Peeps, Jolly Ranchers, jelly beans. Interesting. So Kelly is not as much of a chocolate person. I see. Bunny Reese's. There you go, Alex. See, I'm glad we're all in agreement here. Let's see. Yep. I'm glad we're all in agreement that the bunnies are better than the eggs, because that is correct. I hope you guys are having good Easter plans. I wonder, Ashley, are you going to be able to come on Easter morning for Sunday morning, or are you going to be out of town? Let's see. Jolly Rancher jelly beans, also really good. I like some types of jelly beans, but like others I don't really like. Starburst jelly beans absolutely rule. Those are the best. Connor in the same boat for Bunny Reese's. Man, I'm so glad we are all in agreement here, because normally like a lot of people really love the Reese's eggs, but I'm glad we're in agreement with this. This is great. This is great stuff. Yeah, I know I just asked that, but man, I'm really excited about Easter. Like, last Easter, I believe I'll be in person. Yes, it's my dog's birthday, but I'll try to pencil Grace in. Sounds great. Just bring your dog with you and we'll celebrate his birthday. It's his. I really am going to feel bad if I'm wrong about that. But we'll celebrate his birthday all together at Grace. Will be great. But I'm really excited. Oh no. Why did I forget that? At least I didn't forget that you have a dog like Connor did one time. But I'm thrilled about. I think the Easter service is going to be awesome. I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, obviously last year during Easter it was during quarantine, and so I didn't see anybody for a while. And then Jay and Conley had been isolating. I had been isolating, and so they ended up just staying with me for the weekend. And we dressed up in our full Easter wear and just watched church on my couch. And then they left, and then we went into full isolation, and it was wild. But man, it's going to be really nice to be able to see people on Easter, because Easter certainly is one of the, I mean, it is definitely the best Christian holiday as far as just excitement and joy and what it means and all of that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm thrilled. But without further ado, we'll kind of walk it into just kind of honestly a quick reminder. And I don't even know how many felt like, I know it seems like I got a lot of texts today that people are out of town and stuff. And so obviously we miss them, and we miss everybody who's out of town. But for anyone who's able to jump into small groups, I thought we'd just take a quick moment to just kind of remember what we talked about last week. Obviously, past few weeks, we've been talking about Daniel, and we talked a little bit, I would say, we obviously talked a little bit about Daniel in the lion's den, and how, Daniel chose to worship his God and chose to pray to his God, even though the king and the satraps made a declaration that you could only worship and you could only pray to the king at that time because of the king's greatness and all of those things. And so you see that, and you see that obviously because of that, Daniel because he continued to pray and continue to praise God, his God, our God, the one true and living God, that he was supposed to be thrown into the lion's den. And even though the King Darius absolutely loved Daniel and didn't want that to happen, because Daniel was somebody who had been there for him and had been a great friend to him and had been a word of wisdom. And even with that, the king couldn't get around it. And so he's like, Daniel, I know that he's like, maybe I don't necessarily think that, I mean, he didn't actually say this, but I'm paraphrasing that. Obviously, King Darius didn't fully and utterly only believe in the one true God, but he believed enough that, like, hey, I've seen Daniel's God do great things. And so he's like, may your God save you from the lions. And what happened? God saved him from the lions. And when that happened, King Darius was so overwhelmingly happy that he brought Daniel back up, and he basically made a declaration that Daniel's God, our God, is the one true God, and he is the one that should be worshipped. He made this declaration to his people to say, hey, you need to pay attention to this, because this is the one true God. I've seen his power in my own eyes. And it's an incredible story, but then when you look, it feels like all of Daniel, or at least the first half of Daniel, because I know the second half kind of takes a turn into some different type of literature, but that first half of Daniel is all about how Daniel and his friends just decided they were going to live out their faith. They knew what they believed in. They knew that they were going to love God, and they were going to continue to do things that pleased God and that lifted and glorified God. And because they did that, it continued to put them in places where their faith was seen. And it continued to put Daniel in places where these kings would lean on Daniel for understanding and for truth and for wisdom. Because they knew, even though they didn't fully recognize, hey, I believe in this God fully, and I understand that this is the one true God and all of those things, they still knew, hey, Daniel really cares about this God, and I care, and I like Daniel enough, and Daniel, I see enough things with Daniel to where I could say, oh wow, Daniel, like, clearly his God is powerful, because look at the wisdom that he's giving, look at the time that Daniel is devoting into this, and look at even the miracles that God has done in and through Daniel. And so what we see is, though it's a very different time, and though the culture is very and utterly completely different, At the heart, we see somebody who lives a faithful life, lives a life to just love God and love Jesus. And mixed in with that, he treats other people the way that God would have him treat people, right? Lovingly, caringly. He's faithful to these people. As he works for the king, he's faithful to that king and helping the king with what he needs. And God is giving him wisdom and laying wisdom on his heart that he is able to give to these kings, that is influencing the kings. And so because of that, the king comes to love Daniel and comes to trust Daniel and comes to lean on him for wisdom. And doesn't that kind of seem like what we could do with our friends, with the people around us, that if we could just live faithfully, if we could just say, you know what, in the small things and the big things, I'm just going to choose Jesus. I'm going to love Jesus. I'm going to live in a way that I think that he would have me live. I'm going to make the decisions that he would have me make. I want to be a person who seeks after him and who doesn't do things he wouldn't want me to do and really tries to love on people. And then what if we tried to live out our friendships in a way that was loving in that way, that we loved our friends and we served them, when we were kind to them, when we were uplifting, and when they were going through hard times or when they had bad times going, or whatever that is, or whatever that looks like, that we were there for them and we could offer wisdom, that even if they don't necessarily know everything about God or they're not Christians, that they can see through our love and through the way that we're faithful to them that, hey, maybe their God is meaningful in a way that I should give a look at. And all of that to say, I think that Daniel and his friends, because they chose to live faithfully to their God, had so many experiences to just, in the way that they were friends, in the way that they shared wisdom, in the way that they prayed and worshiped, they were able to have an impact on everyone around them. Even when it was just the king, even when it was just one person, when the king's heart was changed for the Lord, then the king made this huge declaration, and then the king was able to impact more hearts. It's not always about, hey, we're Christians, we should be bringing in hundreds of new believers. Sometimes it's, hey, in your life, you have some friends that you love. If you can love them and serve them like Jesus would love and serve them, then maybe the Lord will change and impact their hearts just because you lived out your faith the way that Daniel did. And so as you jump into small groups, if we're able, whoever's jumping into small groups, to go into those small groups and to think about that and to talk about that as you're, like talking to each other about life and what's been going on and all that stuff, that you're also just thinking about what it looks like to be the type of friend and to live faithfully to God in a way that is impactful in other ways, and not just ways where you're like, I'm going to stand up on top of the lunch table and I'm going to preach the gospel. Like, I know that feels a little bit whatever, a little bit more like, like who's the weird kid that's standing on the table, but in ways that, hey, maybe the way that you love people or the way that maybe you treat other people differently than others, maybe that has an impact. And maybe you can impact people with the gospel, even without having to just stand up and preach and share the gospel, but by simply living a life of someone who has given their hearts to the gospel. So that's all I have for you guys. I know that was a little bit shorter. We're at about 19 minutes now. And so really, I just want you guys to jump into small group, catch up, talk about how everything is. Obviously, if there's not a lot of people or if there's very few people, then I'd love just catch in, hear how everything's going, maybe talk a little bit about that. Like, you don't have to go through all the small group questions or whatever, but just check in. Hear how everything's going, and man, I'm excited to get back to seeing you guys. Last week was a good week. We had a lot of people in person. We had a lot of people online. This week, I know it's a little bit smaller, but we still have people here. I love getting to interact with you guys. Kate, it's totally fine that you got here a little late. That's totally fine. And thank you, and shout out to your grandparents for letting you use their computer. So awesome stuff. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoy small groups, and then be on the lookout. I will let you know exactly what the next couple of weeks hold for everybody. So just let me know, and love you guys as always. And can't wait to see y'all hopefully next week or before then. So bye.